Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be a mashup again of Rural State of Mind meets a little bit of Mind Your Feed. And today, Sarah is back with me. Say hey, Sarah.
Hello, everyone.
And Sarah brought a topic to me, which I thought was super interesting, which is basically like a millennial career crisis is brewing or has already started to brew. And we're going to kind of like chat about it. We're going to just like dig through some things and find out what's underneath all of that. And as millennials ourselves, Sarah, when did we determine millennials, like kind of their age range?
Yeah, so it's someone born between 1981 to 1996. So anywhere in that, you're considered like the millennial group.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind this is typically people in this group were raised to have, or were told, go to college, work really hard, climb the ladder in whatever job that you've got, and you're going to be fine. You're going to live a great life. But there are just some things that have happened over the years that's just not the case for everyone. I mean, is that kind of what you think about when you think about the
I do think
career
that,
crisis?
I think it's like another, like, again, we feel like disenfranchised. Like someone told us that this is how it was going to go. And if you just follow the script,
Yeah.
and for the most part, many people did.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going to mean, quote unquote, success, fulfillment, like a life that you really loved and enjoyed, and that there was going to be this thing called happiness
Yeah.
at the end of it all. And everything was just going to kind of be like upward trajectory because you were doing all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the expectations were set way up here. And the reality is somewhere way down here. And a lot of people are feeling extreme disappointment and, a bit lied to. So before we kind of move into it, which since you are a millennial, Sarah, before we kind of go in there, and I'm a millennial too, and I guess we're considered elder millennials. That's kind of sad.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the old part, right? Like that's okay. It's fitting.
I'm totally good with that. I'm good with it. So we're considered elder millennials because millennials are the first, like, kind of like generation where they are saying there is like two generations in one because technology moved so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so that age range of 30 to 45, like you had a totally different childhood experience if you were in that like maybe 45 to 38 range than you did if you are 37 to 30. Like those are two very different experiences. And so they have split the generation kind of in half.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And like also kind of living in like the rural area, some of that like technology stuff didn't quite. I mean, I don't even remember when we got home internet.
That's so funny. I remember sitting like, I feel like maybe like I was like fifth, sixth grade to be like on the Yahoo chat. Do you remember Yahoo chat?
Well, I do remember dial-up internet.
Yeah, for sure.
Make the noise. And, yeah, but I
kicked off. Somebody called.
Yeah. Yes. And it was real. Yeah. Yahoo chat. I remember that.
That was dangerous, actually.
Yeah. MySpace, like, was the social media.
I love that.
Top friends,
Yes. I always say, yeah, the kids today would not survive because, they say that all the time. We millennials publicly ranked our friends, and man, something went down at school, you were off that list.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, sheer social torture was what my space was. And, I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah.
So I guess we will start off with kind of the woman, or I think this is the viral person who kind of brought this out into the open. I think there had been lots of discussions around it, but her name is, let me see her name, Jessie Jean Cohen. And maybe I'm not saying that correctly. I think I am. But we're going to start with her Instagram. I wouldn't say rant. I would say maybe sharing her reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's maybe not all it was cracked up to be. So I'm going to make sure that we can see each other here. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and play this and just let me know you can see it and hear it. Okay. Here we go.
Through the great millennial career crisis. I saw another creator say this and I was like, yeah, I think that is 100% because of the fact that we were all sold a version of success that literally doesn't exist anymore. We're told, go to school, pick a responsible career, work hard, you're going to get a good job. If you climb the ladder, you'll definitely be rewarded. Buy a house, get married, have the kids, and then you're going to feel fulfilled. And I recently started sharing on here and with some of my friends that I'm attempting to career pivot at 35 and start completely over. And so many people were like, yeah, I'm so burned out, or I'm bored, I'm unfulfilled, I'm questioning my entire identity right now. And I don't think it has anything to do with this idea of laziness, or we're a less hardworking or less grateful generation than our parents. We entered the workforce during recessions, during all of the student loan craziness, during rising costs of literally everything. And now technology is taking out like entire job markets. So I think so many of us are realizing that our parents' dream isn't ours. It's not even real anymore. I think a lot of us value freedom, flexibility, meaning. So I think it makes sense that so many of us are seeking to pivot careers and to start over and to figure out what success even means for us. So I guess I just wanted to post this if you're having those thoughts, like this can't be it. Also, I certainly don't have all the answers, but I will be sharing here my own attempt to pivot at 35, the lessons I'm learning being career confused, and maybe just by talking about this more, we'll all feel a little less alone and a little less crazy. I think we're going through the great millennial career crisis.
Okay. So thoughts on that, just kind of right now, right off of hearing it.
The push for college thing, like I just get caught up a lot in the student. There's a couple things that I get caught up in. Okay. The first one is like student loans. We're talking like trillions of dollars that Americans have in student loans, trillions, right? Total, right? Not individually, of course, but as a whole, like this is a huge thing that like, say a kid goes to college and, dealing with teens and stuff in the counseling setting, like these are some conversations that come up. Like they're signing, an 18-year-old is signing some of these papers for these loans that they don't really understand what they're signing. And like to put this in perspective, one of my best friends, like she ended up going to vet school and finishing all of that out. Like she'll tell anybody, like her student loan payment is the exact same amount as her mortgage on her house. And that's going to be the case until she's like 50 years old. It's one of those things that like is a huge issue that kids are signing up for. And, it's going to take a while to pay back. And then, that kind of snowballs into, okay, maybe I'm going to go to college for this profession and I get into it. And then, I want to make a career change when I'm 35 or 40 and it's going to require this training. And so it's just a whole thing that just kind of builds up and builds up.
Well, I think you're 100% right that there are definitely different factors in here. I kind of wanted to read some of these comments to you, and we could kind of like dive into it. It says, like, I quit my high paying job and highly toxic corporate job. It's a highly toxic corporate job this summer. I spent every day behind a laptop pretending to be doing something important, and it has drained me. I swallowed my pride and went back to bartending. 6 months in, and I have daily human interaction. I'm on my feet, and I feel more a part of my community than any quote unquote real job could ever provide. Stop buying what corporate America is selling. If your bills are paid, your job title is irrelevant. Go live your life. I mean, I do feel like, again, I think we were sold a bag of goods that is like,
Yeah.
Not great.
I could see that, like people quitting their job to go to something where, they feel more fulfilled. But I could also see like where like maybe the loyalty to some professions kind of goes out the window to chase other jobs that make more money. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
like it
sure.
could be both ways in this kind of
Well,
group
I
of
mean,
people,
I think that's a good point, and we should definitely highlight that also because I mean, we do have a chart that kind of shows like what's happening financially. But you kind of talked about how did we get here? I mean, as most millennials, I guess that was when was bank bailouts were 2008. That was the Obama bailouts, remember? And so like as millennials were kind of like graduating, moving out of the college sphere, instead of like us being able to move into good jobs, we were in the midst of what was kind of considered I guess like recession light, and the banks were basically going to fail. Like not just banks, but also like the kind of like Fidelities and all of those types of what would that be, like 401k type holders, things tied to the stock market. Like if the banks failed, the whole entire basically like financial arena was going to collapse or something, and to that extent, right? And so then they like issued like $700 billion to inject capital into failing financial institutions like Citigroup, huge corporation, Bank of America, huge corporation, AIG. They even gave automakers like GM and Chrysler's money during the Great Recession to prevent a total collapse of the financial system. And basically, the government was purchasing toxic assets to stabilize the market for like everyone else. The problem with that is that did not do anything for us except for create tons of debt within the government.
Yeah.
Right? Like it did things for people who had jobs and money in the bank, and of course we couldn't like be a society that just like had a financial collapse, but this is like a huge factor in like the setup of what happened with inflation and wages and loss of opportunities for millennials in general. And so we did exactly what they said: go to school. It doesn't matter what degree you get, just get a degree. A degree can make sure that you get a job, right? Like you'll always have a job, and and then you'll get one of those jobs and they're going to give you some insurance and you're going to get a 401k. And if you save your pennies and rub them together and pray over them every night, you'll be able to retire too. Meanwhile, is that our truth?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, there's so many factors that come up, like, yes, like, there's loans for different things that, you have to, that you're trying to pay for, that are, the cost of houses are sky high and everything. And then you're trying to pay for like normal bills, like, going to the grocery store, and it's super expensive, and childcare. Oh my gosh. Like in some cases it's cheaper for people to stay home than, pay to send their kid to a childcare place or however they work it out,
Well,
and that's
the
just
decisions are not like okay, once upon a time you could have a single income household. You can very few people have single income households. Those are high earners, right?
Yeah.
Even people who are high earners feel the pressure to have a double income household because the other person did go to college and spent all this money to get a degree and to have a career. So why did I do that? Why did I put all this energy, effort, time into it if I'm not going to go and pursue it? So then what happens is, again, like you said, okay, well, childcare is crazy expensive. Or people are just saying, you know what, we're just not going to have kids.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
those are the, like that's so much is not about like, do you want children? It's, can you afford children, or do you want to afford children? Because you already know like what kind of pressure does that then add to the situation. I'm going to keep reading some of these. So here we go. We say 39 here. I owned a web development firm for years, but earlier this year I closed my doors and now only take a few small jobs. After 2 decades of 100-hour weeks, I couldn't keep going. My dad passed away suddenly at 70. He was nonstop business owner too, and only had a few years to slow down. That loss changed how I see everything. I might be burnout, like having an existential crisis, I think is what she means, or both. So I'm pivoting. I took time off and burned through a lot of savings, but I still have no idea what I will do next. I've never said this out loud before. Another person, it's me. I'm a lawyer, super burnt out, 35. I pivoted. I now make ceramics full time. I've never felt so fulfilled and excited to work ever. Director in tech, and now I make cakes. Life is wild. Honestly refreshing to hear. I have done a job that pays me really well and really, really enjoy what I do, but I feel burnt out and a little bored. I don't want a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. I want a 7 to 2 p.m. at a quaint coffee shop for 3 days a week in a sleepy mountainside town. I want to tend to a garden and make silly little crafts to sell at farmers market. I want freedom and space. Corporate life ain't it. Just counting down the days until I have my debt paid off so I can pivot too. Look, I have a friend. She she went to school for education and then was like, I'm never going to work in education. Same story, millennials. Everybody's doing something different with their degree. No one is using the actual one they went to school for most of the time. And which I think is a life skill to be able to shift like that. Like so many people, especially generations before us, they got in something and they stayed exactly in that lane the whole rest of their lives. While millennials are like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to do this. I'm going over here.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Able to transition like that and to like have the confidence to do that, so good on us. But she, went into insurance, and then she wanted to like buy her own insurance firm. Okay. But so in the process of like getting her own firm set up, she got married, had a baby. Now she has another baby on the way. She's slowly stepping away. Her husband's going to take over he's quitting his job. He's going to move into another job. Sorry if I'm putting you on blast. No one else knows who you are. You only know who you are, friend. And they're like doing their life, and like, good on them, because like 2 kids in childcare, why would she even work? I'm not saying that you know what I'm saying, but like the costs are so crazy that like, is it a real like trade-off for what you're losing, right? That sensitive time, the time you don't get back. I'm sure, financially it could probably still benefit you, but you're making choices now, and difficult choices. So yeah, I definitely think there is something in
Well,
this, and people
and
are less afraid to just take a jump.
oh, for sure. And something that's come up in those comments you just read, I mean, burnout, burnout, burnout. They all feel
Burnout,
like
burnout.
exhausted. They're
And pretty
exhausted.
successful careers. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a counselor who's coming on who left like a corporate type job and ended up going into counseling, is going to change her like career
Mhm.
and dynamic and things like that. And so, I mean, I think it's happening. I think people are I talked to a gentleman who I'd gone to high school with, and he said, like, I'm just at the age, that's what he said. He said that he just turned 40, and he said, I'm just at the age where, like, yes, money and things, we have to have them. And like, I want to feel like I'm giving back or doing something
Mhm.
purposeful, or like seeing like the fruits of my labor that are not just like making someone else a lot of money or making a lot of money for myself, but actual fruit, like see
Mhm.
something become like, you know, fruitful, I guess, and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, yeah, that makes some sense. So we're going to keep on trucking here. She said, this is so real. Pivoted careers and started med school at 37 with 2 kids after dedicating years of getting my PhD and researching drug discovery. And now I'm 42, completing my anesthesiology residency. So she's just like, she's kind of transitioning to probably a little bit less, not, I don't know if that's less stressful, but
I don't
definitely
know. That sounds
less
like a lot.
demanding.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put up another thing, chart that I found online, which I thought was interesting because you started saying like financially,
Mhm. Yeah.
just like how millennials are just like,
Yeah. They're just
we are not like, it's kind of like, if you can't beat them, join them. So like, you might as well do what you want to do and be happy, because like, are you really gaining that much ground, or do you
Mhm.
just feel like this is Groundhog Day? Groundhog, that show Groundhog Day over and over and
Yes.
over again. And it's like, is that, I think she said it right. Like, is this it? Is this it? This is really it?
Yeah.
So on this screen, you can see, I'm going to move it over here so I can see better. I don't know if we can see that really well, but I'll kind of tell you a little bit about what's going on here. Essentially, it is charting minimum wage versus inflation. And it starts in like 1972 and it runs all the way, I guess, into the early maybe the late 90s. Looks like the late 90s. Oh, actually, till the, I'm going to be quiet so that I can know when. Oh, till 2025. What am I talking about?
Hey.
So
Yeah.
from 1976 to 2025, and you're watching the minimum wage versus like inflation numbers. And it's really hard, really honestly, to see a little bit, but you can definitely see the lines and how
Mhm.
wild it is. And so I think the reality of that is also like, you're working hard and maybe you, as a millennial, you're making really good money. And I think we hear that a lot, is that you're making good money, um, decent money, yet you don't feel like you're getting any further. You're not
Mhm.
accomplishing anymore. Like, it's just status quo, like, because
Yeah.
everything else is so expensive. So
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
So, something we need to talk about. Tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
Okay. Millennials having like a side hustles
Yeah.
to help supplement, like catch up, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we see it all the time in this age group. Like there are people who are, working their job that, makes the majority of their money for the month, but then they're also picking up like something on the side. Like that's where we've seen like those MLM like
Oh gosh, yes.
companies like pick up, right though? Like
Yeah.
we get people selling supplements and workout videos and, you know, Tupperware and jewelry. And I mean, I don't, you know, all the different things to try to like make
Yeah.
something happen, you know?
Yeah.
Or there's people who are doing like real estate on the side or,
Mhm.
you know, something else to
Supplement.
to kind of try
Yeah.
to catch up. And I mean, what do you think? Do you see kind of that in this?
No, I
group?
agree. And I think that is a true statement. And I think that people are kind of like, I think millennials are finding themselves and really leaning into what is like considered the gig economy. And so like they don't want I don't want your 401k. I don't really want that you can provide me insurance. I don't want your 10 days off or your like free EAP, you know, like through spring or whatever, you know, behavioral health. Like, I actually don't want any of that. What I would like is to, instead of you paying all of that for me, I would like to work less hours at a higher rate and to make equivalent, because I know that I can do in 20 hours what other people are doing in 40 hours. But I want to be paid for that, the equivalent, because I know that I can do that.
Yeah.
Even if it means that I'm doing a little more at home. Even if it means that I'm having to back in some things and do some things. Like if I only have to be at your facility for 20 hours and we can make a deal. But what is happening is these HR offices are very rigid. I would tell you, I have called so many, okay, first of all, because they do this ghosting thing that I just think is horrible, number one. And I will call and like tell people, like, I cannot believe you're doing this to people right now when people are so desperate for jobs. Because when someone comes and tells me that happens, I feel like someone should someone should say something. So I do.
Yeah, some reply.
I'm leaning into being a Jessica, just so we know. Do you
I've
know
seen that. Yeah, that's the new Karen, right? Yeah.
Karen is a Jessica. This is messy Jessie right here, and she gonna be messy. I mean, this is my moment. I'm taking it. I have no shame. Zero. But for real, like that is not okay. And then I saw this thing, and they're saying like 34% of jobs that are even posted are not even real jobs. Like they're never going to hire for them. They're
How
putting
can they
out.
do that?
It's so crappy to do that to people. I mean, in my opinion.
And then they're not going to respond and tell you like, "Oh, this isn't a real job." Is that?
Or they'll just say like, "Thank you for applying," and then you'll never hear from them again. I'm like, do you realize how long it takes people to do that work, to like put in? And so like, you know, maybe you see something that you're like, dude, we could totally fulfill that. I don't want that as a job, but if someone would talk to me, like maybe we could get to a deal, or at least like, would you be willing to sit down and chat? Like, would you be willing for me to come in and pitch this in a way? The rigidity of like some of these places is why jobs, you and I have both had this conversation, why positions stay open for 2-3 years and they're like, we don't have any resources here. And I'm like, no, you choose not to do something out of the box over and over and over again when you could have resources there. They might look different. It might be delivered different. It might be asking you to, you know, not have an in-person idea. It might be asking you to be hybrid. It might be asking you to do all sorts of things, or instead of a full-time position, make it a contract position.
Let's make it work, you know?
But instead, like, there is no ability to fluctuate. And that, I think, is going to be a critical piece in keeping millennials engaged in the workforce, because the reality of the millennial is that many of their parents are boomers who are either have left the workforce or retiring and are getting older. And eventually they are going to inherit the money that is left over from their parents. And boomers right now have the largest share of cash money on hand. That's just it. That's the reality of the situation. And that's going mostly to millennials. Then you have, some of the parents who are like I don't know what they call them, but the Xers, the older Xers, right? We'll call them elders too, just out of respect. The elder Xers that are also, now they don't have as much cash on hand type of situation as boomers, but like there is inheritance coming. They talk about money transfer of wealth. Millennials stand to have the largest transfer of wealth from their parents to them. So I'm not saying that doesn't mean they don't have to work. I'm just saying they may have more freedom, flexibility, like this woman said, to be like, you know what, I'm good. I can, live on $2,000 a month, or $2,500, or $3,000, or $4,500, whatever their budget is, and they can live within those means instead of being like, I have to live this big extravagant life.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I could see that too. But gosh, I mean, thinking about like waiting on somebody to die so that you could.
Oh, I know. That's a whole weird thing, but it is part of the facts. Like this is like we're living in reality. These are parts of the facts. No one is sitting around going, hey, I can't wait till my mom kicks the bucket.
Right.
I don't think, but, and like the reality is people, I mean, the reason it goes back to what, they talk about why the most stressed groups are typically kids who come from upper middle class families. And it's because in those families, there is a lot of conversation about, we just want you to have more than we have, right? Yet when they scan, they have a pretty good life. Like they live in a good neighborhood. They have a really nice car outside. My parents have these jobs. Like I, do my travel sports and all this stuff. And then those kids feel like, well, if I'm supposed to do more than this, that feels like pressure. So like, my mom or dad has a master's degree, or my mom or dad has this kind of career, or they, opened a business and it did really well. So now that's the standard, is I have to do more than that.
Yes.
Right? So then the pressure comes on. And the reality of the situation is that there were more middle class to upper middle class boomers than anything else, because that was kind of like the rise of like the stress situation and work and attain and get all this money. And that's who raised millennials and kind of shamed them for being a little bit less hardworking, supposedly. Lies. We just I think we just prioritize some things differently.
Yeah. And I think that kind of like lays the ground for like wanting some nice things, like wanting a house that's not, not super duper anything humongous, but like just something like similar to what you kind of grew up with, and wanting like your own vehicle and like, just things like that. And then it kind of brings me back to like, I think it's like the burnout feeling is why that we're having like, this issue, like the fulfillment, like you work hard to catch up, like you're doing all these things, you're going to college, you're trying to do this, and then you get more exhausted, and then like you feel, I don't know, maybe some people feel guilty for being exhausted, so they go and do something else, and then like, then you burn out again.
Yeah.
Or you just totally like jump ship and kind of pivot to another career in your 30s or 40s, and you're focusing more on like, like the guy with the pottery, like something that he enjoys, and he's like really prioritizing like, that. And I think schedule is a big thing right now.
I think that people want to feel free, a little bit of freedom, a
free.
little bit of
Yes.
flexibility, right? Like I always say, like, so I used to be like frustrated. Okay, if you're watching this and you're my client, do not be canceling your appointments all the time. But every once in a while, when someone can't make it in, like there's just a lovely feeling that it's like, oh, I hate that I have to go home early.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, but that's like, I think that that's something that everyone or people in our generation are looking for. What does she say? Freedom and flexibility. She said some other things, but I don't totally disagree with her in that. And I always say this, everything in life is a trade-off, right? So like, you just have to be able to decide what you're willing to trade off for that freedom and flexibility. Am I okay with making a little less money? Are we okay with like not getting the fanciest version of a vehicle, just kind of like, regular plain Jane vehicles? Do I have to have, a luxury purse, or am I totally okay with just, putting in my cash in my pocket?
Yeah.
Like all of these things, just like normal trade-offs that we all do every single day, but on a larger scale now, because they're about like pleasure a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Happiness.
Yes, absolutely. Like, and
if you had it to do again, would you go to college and like do the same track you did?
Sometimes when there's hard days, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go do something else. But
yeah,
I would probably do the same.
Yeah.
I am somebody who values a schedule, like where I can be home, where I can do certain things with my family. And I've kind of gotten into that space where I've found a good schedule that works. And so, I mean, that's something I always kind of go back to. So in freedom in that way, like, that time that I have, I would probably do it again the same way.
Yeah. I would totally go to college again, but I think college was like a huge social experiment for me.
Yeah.
Like that, and I don't know that that's exactly what people today are getting out of college. I mean, I was in the social realm. I was socializing.
Yeah. I don't know, because I know that now a lot of colleges are really online a lot.
Yeah,
they're pushing to that. And so really, yes, that enjoyment of, socializing and, that's, I don't know if that's as big as it once was, it has to have changed. Has to. Yeah.
Well, I think one thing, I guess, like you said, you've found a schedule, like a place where you work is now changed their work schedule to basically a 4-day week, right?
Yeah.
And that was like
game changer. Oh my
goodness.
It has helped. Like, I don't know anybody who does not like this, because it's really helped you have a home life. I really think people want that work-life balance, and having 4 days of work and those 3 days to just recover and do things that you
not feel like you're just running behind.
Yeah. Yes. You actually feel like there's a break.
Yeah.
And it's a good sweet spot for sure.
Yeah.
4-day week.
Well, this is the first, I guess, in the last few months, I have not been working on Fridays. Well, this kind of work, fun work, but not like working on Fridays. And so that has been really nice. And I really enjoy that. And that's been helpful to me. But yeah, I think it's important to find just like what works for you. And I do think if you're listening and you're like a hiring manager, you should really think about the fact that, there's a lot of people out there looking to be in the gig economy. Like
Mm-hmm.
your 401k, your insurance plan, your low deductible, this, and this, I'll put in 3% to match your 3%, whatever. Like that is not of high value to people anymore. You are in yesteryear. And until you recognize that, it's going to be kind of a different situation. Now, if people are working full-time jobs, they expect those types of things. But if you have jobs you cannot fill,
yeah, let's get creative. Yeah.
yes, like be
Yes.
creative, move with the times, travel to the year 2026 with me.
Exactly. Yes.
Hiring practices are like super outdated and snooze fest, and it's almost embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many different ways now. And I'm curious, the woman that you showed in the video, like she mentioned about AI taking over or computers taking over a lot of things. We're going to see that even more. I mean, it's going to be the next few years are going to be interesting to see kind of what happens with some of these jobs.
It is going to be interesting because you have every pitch from like something like, oh my gosh, it's not going to affect really anybody's job, to it's going to affect a lot of people and displace a lot of people, to the extreme of it's going to make so much money that all of these companies are going to be able to provide a universal high universal income to everyone. And I'm like, okay, but those are a lot of extremes in between there to ask someone to plan for. So like plan for the worst, hope for the best. But I do think that like all of that says more about finding like what you enjoy, what you like, what you find purpose in, and like following that path. I saw even, and I don't know if this is why he did it, but there was like a chef at like one of these fancy places here in town. And he like retired from being the head chef, and he's going to work at the food bank.
Wow.
I know. So like, and so I do think like there is a transition happening and a realignment and a readjustment. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting to watch. I told you, I'm hearing all sorts of stories about people leaving what would be considered careers to go into what is typically considered jobs and fill positions. So I do think that it's going to get really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Our priorities are they're changing, right? They're changing, right? And success may not be these high paying jobs with all the things. It could be working at a food bank and just like, helping other people if that's what they want to be. But that flexibility is probably huge, so it's going to be, people are prioritizing different things right now. So,
So would we consider ourselves a part of the millennial career crisis?
Oh, I don't know if I'm like currently.
She's like, give me a week or two.
Schedule, I'm all right. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think I could definitely say I enjoy what I do and I'm so grateful for it. But I think, yes, in the way that I'm not looking for traditional things. I'm looking for outside of the box. Let's work together. Let me tell you how we can get there. Let me show you. But you can only do that with people who are willing to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the changing your mind is okay. I think still, right? Like, I don't know. I only know one person who went to college and like stuck with their first major throughout the whole entire shebang,
Yeah.
And so Yeah, but I'm the same way. I love what I do, and right now I've got a good schedule, and it's working out, but
Yeah.
things are always changing, so who knows?
Well, I would say that maybe so for you, because even though you had a different kind of, you started off with one type of job and then you moved to
Mhm.
another type of job and now
Yeah,
you're in a
that's
different,
true.
like, so like you
Yes.
are expanding and like
Yeah. It's in the
kind
same
of
kind of family,
tasting.
but
Yeah.
yes, definitely
Yeah.
changing, right? Yeah. Yes,
Sampling
I'm
a
part of
little bit.
this.
So
Yes.
yeah, maybe a little bit, a little bit. Maybe we're not going to be making sourdough tomorrow,
Yeah.
but check back next week. You never
You
know.
never know. You never know what could happen. That's where I'm kind of living at, you know? I know it's good, but you never know.
I think this was a
Oh.
great topic to kind of just like kick around and see. And I'm interested to know if anyone else is kind of like
Mhm.
in this mess. So
Yes.
we will clip some of this and make some really good shorts, because there will be some really good shorts from this. And we will talk to you guys again soon.
All right.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.